One of the Red Sox pitching prospects is starting to turn heads on a national level. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and just because the Boston Red Sox don't have a top 100 pitching prospect doesn't mean that they don't have any exciting pitching prospects in their system. The three that are sort of leading the pack right now are Luis Perales, Shane Drohan, and Wilkerman Gonzalez, but outside of that, there's another guy in the lower levels of the minor leagues that's starting to turn heads between scouts and analysts in the Red Sox system, and that's what we're talking about today. We are going to go over why this Red Sox pitching prospect is starting to turn heads. We're going to talk about who he is, how he plays. We're going to talk about what all this attention lately could mean for his development and his projections, and we're going to talk about what this could do to his possible timeline. But before we get into that, fall is right around the corner, which means the weather is about to get much colder, and to celebrate that fact, we have released all new Red Seat Radio merch on this channel. That's right, to get ready for the cold weather, we have released Red Seat Radio merch that includes all new hoodies and sweatshirts. We also have Red Seat joggers, long sleeve t-shirts, Red Seat beanies, coffee mugs, and more to get you ready for the fall season. So if you want to rep some Red Seat Radio merch either the last couple weeks of the season or during the off season, click the link in the description below to check out some of our all new Red Seat Radio merchandise. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. The prospect we are talking about today is a right-handed pitching prospect in the Red Sox system by the name of Yordanny Monegro. Now, Yordanny was actually signed during the 2020 free agent international signing period, and he was actually the last person to be signed by the Boston Red Sox. He signed for just $35,000 at the time, which is pretty incredible to say considering what he's been able to do this season. Now, going into the 2023 season, Yordanny was an unranked prospect. He wasn't on any top 30 Red Sox prospect list, and he was a guy that not a lot of people were paying attention to. As of today, though, Yordanny is currently the 29th ranked prospect in the Red Sox system according to Sox Prospects, and he's even higher in the Red Sox system according to MLB Pipeline, where he's the number 22 prospect. And the main reason for Yordanny going from an unranked prospect to one of the top 30 prospects in the Red Sox system is because of what he's been able to show scouts throughout the 2023 season on the mound. Now, Yordanny had a bit of a weird start to his professional career, right? He signed during the 2020 season, so there wasn't really any baseball going on because of COVID, and he had to start his professional career a year later in 2021. Now, last year, Yordanny did struggle a bit on the mound for the Boston Red Sox. In 2022, he played his entire season in the Florida Complex League, the second lowest level, essentially, of the Red Sox minor league system, and during that season, he had a really high ERA of 7.36 and not much better of a FIP sitting at 7.25. He was struggling with his command a lot. He was walking a lot of hitters during that time, and he was giving up a lot of long home runs. He had a 2.45 home runs per nine, which is not what you want to see in the Florida Complex League, specifically because that's where you go to really try and hone in your skills to move up to the next level and really start in the A's system, right? The low A's, the double A's, the triple A's. So he's giving up a lot of home runs early on in his career. But all of that changed during 2023 because to start 2023, Yordanny remained in the Florida Complex League. He made 3 starts in the Complex League this year, and he had a really impressive 1.20 ERA in 15 innings with a bit higher but still very impressive 2.28 FIP. His strikeout rate absolutely skyrocketed. He rose to about a 12 strikeouts per 9, and his walk rate fell to just a 2.4 per 9. Now, obviously, this is just over 15 innings, so it's a bit of a smaller sample size, but regardless of the sample size, it was enough for the Red Sox to promote him to low A baseball, where Yordanny currently resides. The 20-year-old in low A baseball so far this year has still been very impressive. He has just a 2.78 ERA with a lower FIP at 2.40. This is the first time in his career that he's had a lower FIP than his ERA, and he once again was able to increase his strikeouts per 9. It is now at 13 14.12, which is the highest of his career so far. Basically, what I'm saying is right now, Yordanny is striking out about 33.33% of the batters he's facing in low A baseball. That's a pretty good strikeout rate if you ask me. He also was able to maintain, for the most part, a little bit lower of a walks per nine. It's still not fantastic, but it's sitting at 3.79 walks per nine, which again is still a bit high. He's walking about 9.6% of the batters he's facing in low A baseball. So while it's still a bit higher than we would probably like to see from Yordanny, it is much lower than it was at the beginning of his career. On top of having a higher strikeout rate and being able to lower his walk rate a bit, Yordanny has also almost completely dissolved his home run problem that we saw in 2022. So far throughout the complex league and low A baseball this year, Yordanny has not allowed a single home run. Now, obviously, at some point, someone's going to be able to hit a home run off of him again, but that is a really impressive turnaround from having a above 2 home runs per nine to not allowing a single home run between two separate leagues during 2023. A big reason for that is because of the fact that Yordanny has figured out how to minimize his fly ball rate. His fly ball rate in the complex league last year was 45.1%. This year in low A baseball, that fly ball rate is sitting at just 27.7%. You're talking about a quite literal cutting in half of his fly ball rate, and obviously that's going to lead to a lot less home runs. Now, people are still hitting line drives off of him, but he's been able to steadily increase his ground ball rate as well and get a lot of key outs because of the fact that he's been able to minimize his fly ball rate between the Florida Complex League and low A baseball. All of this and what he's been able to do this season is probably the biggest reason why scouts are starting to notice Yordanny and they're starting to put him on Red Sox top 30 prospect lists. Right now, Yordanny essentially relies on 2 pitches to get strikeouts at the low A level. His first pitch is a fastball that sits around 94 miles an hour usually, but tops out around 96 miles an hour, and it's pretty straight, right? Doesn't have a ton of movement on it, so it doesn't generate a ton of swing and miss lower in the zone, but when it's higher in the zone, he does get that swing and miss potential that a 96 mile an hour fastball should have. His real bread and butter pitch, though, is his curveball, which MLB Pipeline even referred to as the best curveball in the Red Sox farm system. It's a 12-6 curveball. It sits in the mid to high 70s, and he generates a ton of swing and misses on this curveball from both sides of the plate. This is his put-out pitch. This is the pitch that he's getting a ton of strikeouts on, and really, like I said, this is his bread and butter. Now, he does have a changeup that he tends to mix in once in a while, but right now it is not very good. It's an extremely flat changeup, and scouts have even referred to it on both MLB Pipeline and Sox Prospects as a changeup that looks more like a fastball that sits around 80 miles an hour. Obviously, that's going to get punished as he moves up towards Major League Baseball, and it's something that he still needs to work on, but he does have 2 well above average pitches in his fastball and his curveball, which again, people tend to say is one of the best curveballs in the Red Sox farm system. Now, in 2023, Yordanny really worked on his delivery. Before, it was a very open delivery. He was showing the ball very early. In 2023, he's mended that a little bit. He's hiding the ball a little bit better. His extension's a little bit better, and his delivery overall looks a little bit better, which is also helping lead to the increase in strikeouts. On top of that, most scouts do believe that because he's only 20 years old and he is 6'4", there is room for him to grow and there is room for him to improve the velocity on his fastball. Scouts believe he could possibly get that fastball up to topping out around 98, 99 miles an hour, which would really help in his swing and miss ability in the lower parts of the zone with that same fastball. Now, one other thing I wanted to point out about Yordanny is that this dude's got swagger, right? He's got the mentality on the that, hey, I know I'm better than you and I'm going to show it. I'm going to dominate you and I'm going to show it, right? And that's really a great personality trait to have when you're a starting pitcher in any professional baseball sense, right? If you're timid, if you're scared, it doesn't usually end up working out for you very well. I kind of like to think think about Brayan Bello's attitude when he gets onto the mound, right? He's talked about it before. He knows his stuff. He knows how good he can be, and he treats every game like that. The only difference between Yordanny and Brayan Bello's attitudes is that Yordanny's more open about it. He will celebrate coming off the mound, and he will be sort of open about the fact that he thinks he's better than you on the mound. But again, I don't really think that's a flaw. I actually think that's a really great trait to have as a guy who's trying to be a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball at some point in his career. Yordanny's put in a lot of work this year to improve his overall performance on the mound and really sort of help his development move along. The big question here is, what does this mean in terms of his long-term development, and what does this mean for the future of Yordanny on the Boston Red Sox? Obviously, when it comes to development, this is great news for Yordanny and the Boston Red Sox, right? The fact that he took such a big leap forward in 2023 could point to him developing even further as we get further along here in his sort of timeline towards Major League Baseball. Now, there are obviously still some concerns with Yordanny, and I think the biggest one right now is his command. He's got that super straight fastball, so if that command isn't getting better, that pitch could end up getting rocked as he moves forward throughout minor league baseball. The other one is that if you want to be a starting pitcher and you want to continue to be a starting pitcher all the way up through the minors and eventually in Major League Baseball, you're going to have to get that third pitch working at some point, right? You can't have a changeup that looks like a fastball all the way through the zone at 80 miles an hour, especially at the higher levels in the minors, and obviously you can't do that at Major League Baseball, so there are still some concerns with Yordanny's game, but I think overall right now when you're looking at Yordanny's timeline, it's 2026, late 2026, according to Sox Prospects, so he's got a ton of time to try and develop and improve on those aspects of his game. In my opinion, it's not something to be overly concerned with yet. He just got out of the Florida Complex League. He's pitching in low A baseball, right? He's got high A, double A, and triple A to get better and maybe even add some velocity to that fastball, develop that third pitch, whether it's the changeup or whether he tries to introduce a new pitch and maybe that one works out better in his favor. Either way, in my opinion, he's got time to work on these sort of concerns that are surrounding him right now at the single A level. Now, overall, in terms of his development and his ceiling, right now, both Sox Prospects and MLB Pipeline have his ceiling at sort of a fourth starter, a guy who's sort of the back end of your rotation, who can eat innings, who can be a guy who can give you solid outings, but never be that sort of all-star caliber pitcher, never be that sort of Cy Young caliber pitcher, right? And to me, that ceiling feels about right now, right? With the command issues he's got right now, and with the lack of third pitch, I feel like a ceiling of a four-starter may even be a little bit high, but the potential is there. The potential is there for Yordanny to really turn a corner and put himself into a sort of middle of the rotation type player, which would be absolutely fantastic for the Boston Red Sox. But the improvements we've seen from Yordanny this year lend well to the fact that there is a possibility that he could make these improvements as he moves forward through the minor league system, right? He's proven that he can work hard to change and improve his game. He's proven that he's open to changes and development as he moves through the minor league system, and those are all really, really great signs. In my opinion, this is a prospect you should be starting to pay attention to a little bit. As he moves through the minor league system, keep an eye on Yordanny Monegro, because this is a guy who I truly think could end up being an impact pitcher at the major league level if he could figure out the things that he needs to work on over the next couple of years. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of Yordanny? What do you think of his potential? What do you think of the improvements he's been able to make this year? Overall, what do you think Yordanny's ceiling could look like with the Boston Red Sox in a super early prediction capacity? Let me know all your thoughts on the Red Sox pitcher turning heads in the comment section down below. Don't forget to check out all new Red Seat Radio merch in the link in the description. Also, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.